Wow.
Wah, to you too.
My eyes are really itchy.
Herpes.
What?
Gonorrhea. Crabs.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Don't know. Whatever's wrong with your eyes. You've got some kind of affliction.
Okay.
We didn't get education about that sort of thing at school like you guys do. We just had to fend for ourselves against a world of fatal diseases.
I don't think herpes is particularly fatal.
Didn't even get to put a condom on a banana.
No, did we?
Didn't you?
We got them on demonstration penises.
You had a demonstration penis.
Yeah.
Taking all the mystery out of it.
Why did you decide to suddenly go on a rant about that?
Why do I do anything?
Stop getting too analytical.
You're the one asking questions.
So fuck you.
That's when you're losing an argument. When you resort to the fuck you.
Because you just being pointless. Shut up. Shut up. I can't even speak. Are we ready to begin?
I've already started.
And that's not the podcast. Is that... Did you start on that just because you thought that was part of the podcast?
No, we've been recording for a couple of minutes.
I know, but we haven't even done the introduction yet, so all of this will have to go before the thingy.
Will you stop bashing your mic?
No.
Fuck you. Amateur. Leave it alone. Every time you touch it, I have to edit.
Good.
Why don't you put your coffee here in this big space?
Because I'm not left-handed.
Put it behind you then, or on the floor or something.
Because you're a twat. Fuck you. Oh yeah.
He literally moved it right back to where it was.
Fucking wanker. I'm sorry. I'm gonna hit it I do it.
Well, put it somewhere else then. Yeah. There's a big space there.
That's a stupid place to put it. I'll be left-handed today then.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at being left-handed. Are you ready to begin?
I believe so.
Okay. Ooh, this is a Valentine's Day special.
You always start first.
Okay.
You're so selfish.
Stop enjoying yourselves. Hello Internet, I'm Firebolt.
I'm the Orbiter.
Wow, you sound so happy to be the Orbiter.
You scared me. I wasn't expecting it. You actually went quiet and you succeeded in starting the podcast, which is usually a multiple attempt thing, but it went quiet and then you just shouted, "Hello, Orbiter." Oh, no. Oh, never mind.
Hello Internet. You know our introduction.
I've got no idea what kind of tone this... Last episode was quite deep.
Macabre.
Yeah.
Literally.
Is this going to be light relief or are we going to get deep again today?
Let's try keep it on the lighter side because it is our Valentine's Day special. Nyo.
Nyo.
And
Nyo.
Nyo.
What was that?
Terrorists have lovers too. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, speaking of Valentine's Day, don't you think that's a little creepy though?
Probably.
What is it nowadays? Because when I was a kid, when Valentine's Day actually meant something,
back in my day where
we
actually loved each other.
It was people sending anonymous
just
cards.
Sent dick pics.
It's a bit stalkerish because it's just people sending anonymous cards to people that they fancied.
It's like the pre-internet way of stalking, I guess.
Well, what's the internet way of stalking then?
Just go on Facebook. Look at all your friends and what they're up to.
Yeah, but you're not actually telling them that you fancy them anonymously. You're not actually being detected looking at them.
Did I detect a Freudian slip there?
No. But you know what I mean? That's not the same thing, is it?
Okay.
I'm just like the thought of in some ways people say it's romantic finding that they've got an anonymous admirer, but in other ways it could be like, I'm a bit worried now because somebody fancies me. I don't know who it is.
I watch you.
I got accused of sending a Valentine's card to somebody I didn't send one to when I was at school. I was very offended. Well, not offended, but it was like she didn't believe me.
I haven't sent a Valentine's Day card since primary.
She got this Valentine's card on Valentine's Day, and just like accused me in front of everyone. Basically said, "I know who sent it," and like sort of looked straight at me, and I'm like, "It wasn't me."
Yeah, it's a weird, and also it's named after a massacre, I think.
Oh yeah.
No, the massacre's named after Valentine's Day because that's the day it took place.
Oh right. Well, I'm a dumbass. Okay.
Named after a saint.
I wish we had a Star Stuff cam.
You only get to speak like once every now and then, so you're allowed to be smart because you've got time to think of what to say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have to talk for the entire hour, so we're going to say lots of stupid stuff, and we do.
I just farted at you.
Why?
How are we going to talk about love for an hour?
I don't know. Well,
there are lots of different kinds of. I need to.
It's weird.
I heard once that Sanskrit has 19 words for love, and it was in a documentary that I was watching about Turanga Leela Symphony by a composer called Messiaen.
I'm sorry?
A composer called Messiaen wrote a thing called Turanga Leela Symphony, which is
the character Futurama.
What, Turanga Leela?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, nerds.
I didn't know that. Actually, I don't know what Turanga Leela means. I do know the symphony has a lot of movements, and they're all like to do with love. No, that's not how you spell it.
No,
that's Leela.
That's the character.
Yeah, but you said we're not actually online.
Wow, professionalism here. We know what we're doing.
No, you said Turanga Leela.
Well, that's her first name.
What, Turanga?
I think so.
Is it?
She's the Cyclops. There we go, Leela.
That's not how you spell the Leela in Turanga Leela, though.
I swear it's Turanga Leela.
Yeah, but it's Lila in Turanga Leela.
I don't know.
So it's obviously not related at all.
Turanga Leela, there.
Full name Turanga Leela. Ah. It has in it, this symphony has in it an Ons Martineau, which you know what that is, don't you? Or do you not?
No.
It's a very early form of synthesizer, one of the first synthesizers.
Why would I know what that is?
I don't know, I just thought I remembered you saying something about, is that an Ons Martineau? I'll tell you what it's used in famously. Ghostbusters. You know, that kind of wailing kind of woo in the music kind of.
What does this have to do with love?
I want to know what Turanga Leela means. Because this is where I heard of the concept of love having what was I saying? 19 words in Sanskrit. What does it mean though? It tells me what it is. It's a large.
Well, look, but the etymology.
Oh right, Turanga Leela etymology. I forget about that word. Etymology. What's the etymology of etymology?
I don't know.
Oh, look! Neatarama.com says that Leela's full name, Turanga Leela, is a reference to Olivier Messiaen's
Well, that's what I thought, because
famous orchestral piece.
Right,
Because,
isn't it?
well, that 1948 symphony screams purple-haired sexy Cyclops chick, don't you think? You just hit your mic again.
I hit the pop shield.
Okay. I don't know. Oh, lover of horses.
Wow.
No, Philip is Greek in origin and means roughly lover of horses. All right, hang on. Leela's name is the most well-hidden joke in all of Futurama.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to find out what... Right, okay. Sanskrit, which is a dead language, for both superhuman and abandoned. Right, there you go. That's what Turanga Leela means. Leela was abandoned as a baby and left with a message that was impossible to translate. For any other show, I'd say this is a coincidence, but I believe they named Leela off of a fairly obscure symphony from the 40s. Anyway, words for love in Sanskrit. I think Sanskrit is an ancient... Is it sort of... I'm thinking sort of Indian kind of region.
I think it, yeah.
Um,
Ish.
5 stages of love as Hindus see them. See, this has taken us down a path that we can actually talk about.
Okay.
Ancient India's 5 words for love. That's not 19 words, is it? Oh, there are 267 words for love in Sanskrit.
You're pretty much just looking at things from the Kama Sutra now.
No. They're words, they're not... What are you on about, the Kama Sutra? Ooh, the little love book.
Can we get on to, like, talking?
We are talking, you're just not contributing much.
You're just looking at the internet.
Right. Talk about love, then.
What is love?
I don't know, you won't let me look it up.
But fuck off. You don't need to look up what love is to know what it is.
Love is a human concept.
Is it? Is it uniquely, though?
Well, it depends what you mean by love, because it means lots of different things depending on the context. Like, for instance, I love star stuff, but not in the same way that I love you.
No.
Fortunately for both of us.
Thanks for that.
So, yeah, as we found when we were discussing death, you've got to define what you mean by the word before you start giving it meaning.
I just saw star stuff just looking around going, what the fuck are you on about?
Wondering what other meaning there is for death.
Death.
Oh
no, we were defining the moment of death. What? I mean, you've heard the dead strawberries thing in Infinite Monkey Cage. Is a strawberry dead? But we were talking about when does death occur as a in.
We could do an experiment if you want.
No, you've missed that episode. You weren't part of that. Your favourite character in the whole of literature as well.
Yeah.
And anyway,
disappointing.
Love.
So
that's an example of love.
now I won't ask.
Immediate forgiveness for having your life threatened by your partner.
Yeah,
That's love.
There's a comedian I like, Fern Brady, who
Good.
had
I'm very glad for you.
a bit on intrusive thoughts.
What?
Just like, well, do you ever get it where you're like standing at a train station and you're just being like, what would it be like if you just jumped in front of that train?
Oh yeah, all the time. Well, not all the time, but yeah.
I've just this really strong urge to go whoop, but you never actually want to.
No, I mean it's like I've had that a few times when driving, when you're coming up to a T-junction and you just think, what if I just put my foot down and went straight into the house opposite rather than pulling up safely at the junction?
But one of the things was
Or going straight across a
with her
crossroad.
partner, just thinking, watching them sleep, what would it be like if I just pushed my thumbs into your eye?
Or when you're making a meal in the kitchen and you get a sharp knife out of the drawer and one of your kids is there in the kitchen with you and you think, what would it be like if I just inserted this into their ribs and killed them in the kitchen?
That after beeping you.
I know how the kids
Normal
react
laws,
when
aren't
you
they?
say that you're going to do that to them.
What?
I know how the kids react when you say you're going to do that to them.
Oh, you threaten them, do you?
Yeah. Why do you think they obey me most of the time?
Well, they didn't last night because you ended up doing the washing up.
That's because there was no hot water.
Well, there was by the time we did it between us, or Mum did it and I dried.
Yeah, well, it just miraculously came on, I guess.
It's okay. I'll make up for it tonight.
Oh yeah, still got to be done tonight. See, that's love. We left it for you.
Fuck you.
Where were we anyway?
Yeah. No naming names.
God and me. Okay.
What was your first experience of love? That wasn't like...
If you're talking about not your kind
Your
of
mum.
mum.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? That's a really difficult one to answer. It depends what you're talking about. I can tell you my first experience of infatuation. Can I? Actually, I think infatuation is a lot stronger an emotion, like immediately.
Yeah,
It just doesn't last.
I guess. Sort of a quick burn that's a lot more intense.
I don't know, because I don't actually know what love is. I think everyone defines it for themselves. I mean, I would say it's weird, because I would say that having been married for, how long have we been married now?
17 years.
And a bit.
And 2 months.
Yeah, that long.
And you've been counting every day.
Could have been out by now.
That's the nearest what do you call it? Nearest to a definition of what you might think of as love as I can think, because you don't last that long without going through a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
And forgiving each other a hell of a lot, and sacrificing yourself a lot, and
There's a weird thing.
yeah, I know. There's this thing as well about women looking at you as if to say, "What do you mean forgiving? I haven't done anything wrong," kind of thing. It's like everybody does something wrong.
Well, not everyone.
I'm not sexist. It's not limited to just blokes.
But didn't you get married within months of meeting each other?
Yeah, we actually got engaged within about 48 hours of meeting each other, wasn't it?
Well, actually physically meeting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we met online in a chat room for the once great band Muse.
And one's great.
Well, they're all right now, but they've gone downhill, in my opinion. But
I don't like the last album.
they're very
much.
popular. Anyway, that's not part of the subject. That was it August time that we first met online?
No, it was in the summer.
Maybe a bit earlier.
Yeah, sort of
August,
May,
June, July. Oh, May, June. Well, don't know then. Yeah, we'd been talking online for a little while anyway, and then we spoke on the phone, and then we met. I got the train up to Aberdeen to meet her because we got on really well, and then a couple of days later we were engaged, and 3 months later we were married, and 17 and a bit years later we were sat like this doing a podcast.
Some more important things have happened since then, like me.
Well, obviously that's important to you.
Oh wow, thanks. You
Yeah,
never loved me.
But you know what I mean? It's like you got to go through some. I don't know. Some people, I suppose, are lucky they get the right person straight away, but
It's weird.
but other people, there might be a strong emotional reaction at the start, but that doesn't last. Or if it does, it can easily turn into hate because the strong emotion isn't.
Yeah, no, that feels
Actually, the opposite of love is really indifference. It's kind of, but it's easy to love and hate. A bit like pain and pleasure. It's very closely linked.
okay.
Ask Freddie Mercury. Well, don't actually. It won't get you anywhere.
Yes, just what do you think of this?
A song on the Kind of Magic album, "Pain is so close to pleasure."
Right, you're just randomly bringing up musicians.
I'm trying to keep the conversation going because you're not saying much. You're asking me about my past love life and then leaving me to bear all.
I don't know what to say.
Well, you've probably
about
got
you?
more experience. Than me,
Yeah.
given
Oh, see, she's supposed to be on my side. Right.
Thanks.
What about you? What was your first experience of love?
Okay, well, again, I won't name names, but since it was more recent, some people I know probably know who I am talking about anyway. I think it was 2 years ago, actually. Exactly.
The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
What?
That's what they say, isn't it? When they do a film based on a true story.
didn't murder her.
I said the innocent, not the guilty.
Okay, yeah, that was weird. It's also like a weird thing of chance, because I always think sort of, because I rarely ask someone whether they would, whether they like me in that way. But I'm not really sure if it's a case of there's just some sort of sense that you get from someone that they do like you, and that's how you tell, and that's a sort of reciprocal.
I don't know. There's this weird thing, and I don't know if it's a...
That was definitely more a case of infatuation, I would say.
Yeah. I don't know if it's so much nowadays, but there is a traditional kind of... that if a boy likes a girl, they tend to... Well, I think traditionally it's more they tend to be nasty to them, which is obviously not very nice. But I find more that if I have had feelings for people in the past, I would normally avoid them more than other people because I wouldn't know how to interact with them like without being embarrassed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, but I'm being really distracted because we've got this computer screen in front of us, and for some reason it's got followers, and it's got a Facebook thing, a Twitter thing, a Google Plus thing, and then it says Nan. Why does it say Nan?
Do you want to find out?
Click it.
The mouse on, there we go. It's just a part of Google Plus.
Google Plus Nan.
I don't know.
It's not a link. It just says Nan for some reason.
Where your nan hangs out and spies on you.
It's probably
Just there.
acronym for something.
Ancient India's 5 words for love and why knowing them can heighten your happiness.
This is bollocks shit. It's just clickbaity stuff like, oh, how to improve your life by...
What is? I went searching for it. It wasn't clickbait. I wanted to know about different words for love in different languages.
Yeah, but... Yeah.
Yeah, so the intense but fleeting emotional high of falling in love, which generally doesn't last very long, which I think some people label as infatuation.
Yeah.
I would say anything from 6 months to a year if you're lucky.
But then, would you say that you fell in love with Star Stuff?
Well, that's the
No, he was pushed.
That's the different thing. It just felt right. It wasn't. I mean, like this myth that the media sells you about that, you know, you should know instantly, and there should be fireworks and, you know, just magic in the air and all this lot. It's like I'd had all that before in the past, and it was like, you know where that ends up if there's nothing else to it.
Right.
But I think, I mean, it's difficult to tell because if I had met Star Stuff in real life first, that might have been the case. But because we chatted online and we chatted on the phone so much beforehand, it was almost like we'd done the honeymoon period by the time we met. Do you know what I mean? So there wasn't that. There was the nerves, but I mean, like, all the way up here on the train, there was, in actual fact, I remember, the train set fire. The train caught fire that I was on the way up here. We all had to get off the train at Kirkcaldy, I think it was, and wait for another one to come because the train had caught fire. So I phoned Star Stuff because she was going to be picking me up from Aberdeen, and we'd never met before. And she said she'd just wait because it turned out to only be about 20 minutes, half an hour later anyway. But just before we put the phone down, she said, "Love you," and it's like, I didn't say anything. I just like hung up straight away because not because I didn't want to say anything back. It was just I hadn't expected it and wasn't ready for it. You know, but it wasn't weird. I just kind of chuckled about it to myself. I didn't stand there and chuckle in public. That's not a chuckle. That's a creepy. God knows what.
That's the laugh that you do when we're playing games.
It's not a chuckle. Stop. So anyway, yeah, when we met, obviously there was like that initial kind of, oh, it's going to be like first meeting, kind of, it's going to be really kind of awkward, but it wasn't. It was just like within a couple of minutes we were walking along Union Street holding hands and chatting like we'd known each other for years.
Like when I was around that person once we'd decided to be together, I guess. It was very awkward, like, all the time.
You don't know what to do you? It's got to be, yeah.
I would say it has to sort of feel natural. You want to be with somebody who you can be the most yourself
Yeah, that's going to take somebody pretty weird, isn't it, to to put up with me who I am.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me. I was like,
Well, you as well, yeah.
so.
Yeah, sorry, you are a kid, so you're going to be really weird. You got a double dose of weirdness.
What is this? I don't know, maybe it's that skip a generation thing.
No, it's not.
Well, my side of the family, I wouldn't say you've got much hope there either.
Thanks. Bloody genetics. Fuck you and your cells.
We can all blame our ancestors for... And anyway, what's wrong with weird?
I don't know. Well, it just means it's harder to find people, I guess.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, another thing, because I think I've said it before, I am bisexual. I've not really had any romantic attraction to a man before, so it's kind of...
How do you know then?
Well, I've had sexual attraction to a man before, so that's how I know I'm bisexual.
I don't know what the difference is.
There's a very big difference.
I know, but I'm weird in some ways. I don't know. I can't do the physical bit without an emotional. I can, but it's pointless. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah. Well,
I can't do the physical bit without getting emotionally involved. Or if I don't get emotionally involved, it's pointless. It's kind of...
Well, I suppose the physical attraction or sexual attraction is when you like fancy some actor or actress or whatever, like Emma Stone for you, but you don't know her. You don't know what she's like.
Know.
What?
She doesn't know. You've gone and...
Oh. Well, see,
she's
she knows.
embarrassing you. It's your turn.
Or a bit like when I'm sort of like, I'll have them wash the windows, but I don't want to, just so I can look. That's all I want to do. I don't want to actually meet.
Like the person that you'd fuck when you play Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't do that. I'd just have them wash the windows. I don't actually want to have any interaction with them, physical or otherwise.
It's Johnny Depp's weird.
Yeah, but he could wash the windows. That's fine. That's as far as it's going to go.
Do you think he'd charge more than our window cleaner?
I would expect so.
For washing the windows, I mean.
Wait. Where's all the mum gone now?
That's a euphemism, washing the windows.
Yeah.
Can wash my windows for me.
I've not heard that one. I've heard the milkman.
You've heard him do what?
Oh,
We don't have a milkman.
I know. You won't let me have a milkman.
There isn't one round here. Is there?
Is.
Is there?
Yeah.
How do you know?
it's for old people.
I didn't know they still did milkmen.
I do.
That stuff does.
Yep.
1 pint or 2?
What the fuck is this conversation?
I'll have gold top today, please.
What does that even mean?
Oh, it's the extra creamy variety. Comes from Jersey cows. Gold top milk. Jersey cows produce creamier milk, so it's a lot creamier.
I wasn't actually asking what it actually meant. I was asking what it meant euphemistically.
Oh, right, sorry. I've no idea.
He's just making them up.
Yeah, I'm just talking bollocks. This is breaking bollocks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen like when people have love tattooed on their knuckles on one side and then hate on the other side? Why is that? Love hate. There was a band called Love Hate. I don't know if it's still around.
I don't know. Like maybe they want to. I don't know.
Maybe if they punch you with the love hand, they like you, and if they punch you with the hate hand, they don't. I don't know.
So that's an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a
Right. There's actually one thing. Sorry, carry on.
weird one, like crushes, because I have loads of, and I'm not sure what my brain does, because I think sometimes my brain just sort of like that intrusive thought thing just pictures me with someone.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if like that's my brain saying, yes, you want this thing, or just, okay, that would be a thing.
Well, see, what I was going to say was, I don't think you can. It seems like a very selfish on the surface seems like a very selfish philosophy, but I think that the most important love is to love yourself. Because I don't think, whatever your feelings for someone else is, I don't think you can communicate or treat them in a way that they deserve if you don't love yourself. Because you can't give as much as you feel you deserve to give in a relationship. In some ways, if you hate yourself, you're going to destroy things that make you happy just because you can't help it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't treat someone right unless you can treat yourself right, I don't think.
Guess that makes sense.
And also, if you don't love yourself, how do you recognise it when someone else doesn't treat you right?
Yeah. Again, probably been there.
But that's a very simplistic way of looking at it. Obviously, it's like a set of scales. There's times when, as you well know, there's days when you get up and you're really happy, and other days when you're really down on yourself. It's just like,
I'm always miserable when I get up.
Or maybe straight away, but maybe leaving it half an hour before you actually make an assessment of how you feel is is wise.
Well, because either I'm getting up way earlier than my body can handle, or I'm getting up way later than my body can handle. So I have a massive fucking headache either way.
I usually harbour more positive feelings towards you after you've been up for half an hour than when you first get up. Or when I'm first trying to get you up.
I wonder why.
Because I'm like, fucking 5 times I had to try to wake you up last week one day. You're a zombie in the morning.
Yeah, that's just teenagers, I guess.
Nah. Both of your sisters were quite capable of getting themselves up.
Bitch.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this swings and roundabouts, isn't it? There's some things that you're better at than they are, so.
Not podcasting. Not fun.
Gaming. I don't know, actually.
Probably.
Yeah. Anyway. Love.
Yeah, that thing with the difference between attraction and love. Because I there's that infatuation, and then you just get, like, crushes.
Do you not find it fascinating, though, that feeling that you're talking about, that attraction, that infatuation, that obsession, that crush?
It's not necessarily infatuation if you just have a crush on someone, though.
Okay, but that feeling of physical attraction is basically the mechanism evolution has developed to keep the species going.
It's just your brain telling you, make babies. Just...
And this one looks like they might survive.
So with that, I'm not sure, even though there's nothing wrong with it, why evolutionarily you do get homosexuality, not just in humans, but in hundreds of species.
Yeah,
thousands even.
But just because something helps for a species to procreate doesn't mean that's going to be the only option there. I mean, look at pandas. It's a wonder they're even a thing.
Yeah,
they'd rather eat bamboo.
I feel like you're. If I believed in like spirit animals, you would be a panda.
Why?
You just like to just sit around and eat slowly.
Yeah, but not bamboo.
No,
not often that slowly either. Actually,
ice cream. Well,
I go through phases. I'm going to enter another phase soon, and it's funny actually because if you look back at our videos or podcasts over the past year and a bit, I started off probably about the weight I am now, and then I lost a lot of weight over the summer, got quite slim, and I put it all back on again over autumn and Christmas, and it's probably going to go back the other way again soon.
It's just like a curve,
like a roller coaster.
Well, no, because
that's a song. Love is a roller coaster.
It's just a dip.
What's a dip?
Just
what, like with hummus?
You start exercising, and that just goes down, and then Halloween comes round, and you're fat again.
Yeah, it's a difficult. Well,
Or is it more like you just start going down and then Christmas spike?
well, Christmas is always a weird one. Well, it's always something that's difficult to. The difficult thing is if you go on holiday in the October holidays, it's always difficult to get back because you know that when you get back, you've only got a few weeks before the Christmas binge starts. So
What,
it's
in
like, is there any
November?
point going back to the gym now?
In November.
Yeah.
That's when your Christmas binge starts.
Well, Advent calendars start at the end of November or beginning of December, but you know what I mean? Mince pies are out.
Yes, yeah. But like the proper binge is Christmas Day,
It's a mental thing,
Christmas Eve.
is it?
Yeah.
This is quite depressing, actually, or revealing. I don't know which. That is really difficult to actually fill a podcast on this subject. We're
It's
obviously
just so
completely-
awkward. Like, why do you think that we do fall in love then? If it is the
well,
when you're
which part of it are
saying
you meaning?
make babies?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, that's like saying, why have we got 2 arms or 2 legs? Or it's advantageous, isn't it? It's also almost like a tribal thing that
Yeah.
you kind of, there's safety in numbers, and if you know that if you're in a pack, you know that you're, there's somebody there that'll stick up for you. Or, I mean, some people do prefer being on their own. And there's certain aspects of being on your own that you miss when you're partnered up. But I think the things that, I suppose the thing I value is some relationships are really quite clingy in that the people can't be apart. They won't let themselves do other things. But what I like about the relationship that works best for me and for us is...
don't even have to talk to each other.
No, but I can go out. I can stay out overnight if I want to. Or I can be on my own and it's not an issue. Whereas some people can't have that or do that. So, like, you've got both. You don't... If you want to have company, you can have company, but you're not
Did you
trapped.
see that thing that, like, Mike Pence won't go to any events where there's women without his wife?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a healthy relationship, that.
Yeah, but then again, he doesn't seem like a healthy human being in terms of thought processes.
No. But I think the very fact that there are so many songs written about it means that and books written about it and films written about it, and just, it's obviously something basic to human nature, isn't it? That.
Yeah. It's weird, again, though, with, like, abusive relationships, because you can tell that there is love there. It's a very twisted version of it.
I can see how you can tell there's a strong emotion there. Whether or not it's still love when it gets to that point is debatable, but I suppose it's, I don't know, to need to control someone else that much is probably more based in fear and inferiority and not loving yourself, because, you know, if somebody needs to be abused in order to stay, like, you know, if you've got to scare someone into staying with you, then is it really worth it? You know, it's like, that's not, you're not getting any love back. Even if you love them, they're only staying with you for fear. Although I suppose it's more complicated than that.
No.
Because there is forgiveness as well, isn't there?
It's just a huge, complicated mess of things. Then you get the other side as a more sort of general love for just human beings. It's just compassion, I guess.
Empathy.
Yeah, but it's weird that there's so much complexity to that sort of urge for
Well, that's because it's
being
not
in a
one
tribe.
thing, isn't it? That's why different
Yeah.
languages have different words for it, because it's like, and if a concept isn't in your vocabulary, in your language, then can you understand it? Can you analyze it and talk about it in a way that, I mean, you might be able to feel the emotion, but you can't really express it accurately if there's no word for it.
Nah. So you have to come up with a more convoluted explanation, and
Which is why I don't think there is a definition
there's
of love,
room
because
for misconstruation.
it's people make it what is right for them, I think.
Yeah.
And every relationship is of necessity going to be different. I mean, the love between me and Mum has to be different to the love that there could be or would be between me and anyone else, because there would be differences on the other side. You know,
Yeah.
it's a result of the two life experiences coming together, really.
But I guess tied into that's also, in your case and many other cases, the feeling that you're comfortable enough with that person to raise another human being with them.
Well, once you get to a certain point, you don't have a choice, really. I mean, I remember when we made the decision.
Condom broke.
No,
Dead.
no. When we made the decision to have a kid the first time, it was like it just felt right. But once it's actually happened, it's kind of,
And they're shitting green on you.
that was funny. Not your partner.
Not me. That what?
Well, I was talking about once you've made that decision, and then you said, and then they're shitting green on you. That wasn't what happened. That was
I didn't think so.
That was the baby. But yeah, it's a weird one. That does actually bring me to the moment, I think, that you first feel what you can describe as pure love, is when you first look into the eyes of your child that's just been born. That's because with anyone else, there's always going to be a certain amount of emotional self-protection involved until you get really kind of deeply involved and deeply trust someone. And even then, you can't not hold at least something back, because there's always a risk that intentionally or not, you're going to lose them, whether that be through them leaving you or even dying. You know, you've got to be able to survive without them, even though that might seem like the worst thing in the world. But with a newborn child that you know is yours, and you look into their eyes, it's like they don't have the capability of deliberately hurting you, you know.
Yeah.
At that point, it's just
until
you are completely helpless, and I have to do everything I can to, you know,
protect them.
Yeah. Well, for them to survive, really, you know.
Yeah.
They can't do it. It's weird because, I mean, like in the animal world, you get like horses and giraffes and stuff like that. They pretty much learn to walk within the first 10, 15 minutes of being born, don't they?
Can you imagine that? It just popped out, just like, all right, I'm off, Mum.
Which is...
Wasn't much popping going on.
I was trying to do a pop sound there, and it just went, yeah, you're better than me. Hey, that's pop shield. That's what they're for.
But I think that's also maybe partly because it's a brand new experience as well, and when you get to the longer you live, the more difficult it is to find brand new experiences. And I think that's maybe a lot to do with what infatuation. Do you know, though, a friend of mine who I meet up with every year or so when they happen to be in the area, was telling me about there are such things as you've heard of the the song Addicted to Love. Well, it's actually infatuation, but there are people that are addicted to that feeling of falling in love, and it's so much so that they kind of go from relationship to relationship because they can't, they don't get anything out of the sort of continuing of the relationship. It's just the initial part of falling in love that they just addicted to.
Yeah, I can get that. That's a big adrenaline rush, I guess.
But I mean, it's the same. I suppose it's not the same thing happening again and again, is it? Because it's a different person. It's going to be different. Yeah, I think the first time that it happens, though, you are naive enough to let yourself fall in love and not kind of think that you're ever going to be hurt by it.
Yeah.
And then...
What do you think about polyamorous relationships?
What do I think about them? I think if it's right for someone, then why not?
But then
there's all sorts of different kinds of people, isn't there?
Because I was watching that Louis Theroux thing on that. I think he's actually done a few, but
the more recent it's quite difficult to... Well, in some ways I'd say it's quite difficult to sustain, but at the same time, any relationship is.
It was sort of... There were two couples, but a member from each of those couples were also a couple in themselves. So the people on the outside of that just sort of felt a bit left out, I think.
Right.
And you could tell that because... I mean, I think one of them wanted to get involved in sort of a three-way relationship.
Yeah.
But
everyone's different.
Just sort of got shut down, I guess.
Any relationship, whether there's two people involved or three or four, is the dynamics are going to be different, aren't they?
And I guess it's just a lot more complicated then. Cause,
I mean, if it's difficult to find the right person for you, then it's going to be many, many times more difficult to find the right two or three people that are all right for each other.
Yeah.
And work together. So... But if it works, then I don't see any reason. I mean, I don't see any reason to assume that we should be a monogamous species, in any more than I see any reason to assume that we should be heterosexual. Or,
no,
it's. I mean, a lot of it stems from religion and tradition, doesn't it? But even then, when you look back, I mean, King Solomon had concubines coming out of his ears.
It's a weird place to fuck. Especially for a concubine.
And in actual fact, if the species was under threat and we had to, if there was a mass sort of wipeout of loads of people and they had to, evacuate the planet or something, it would make more sense to send 100 women and 5 blokes maybe out into space, because you can repopulate with much better kind of genetic variation that way.
Yeah, I think it's like a drop of semen contains enough sperm to impregnate every woman on the planet.
Yeah, we don't actually need the men at all. We just need to farm them and then...
Don't go into this. This is dystopian shit. I find that really disturbing when some people actually take that idea seriously. I was like... Let's just kill off everyone, all the men. Just like, Jesus Christ. Take a chill pill.
Well, they started with him.
There's nutters everywhere.
Yeah, but they're loud nutters.
Yeah, well, you just got to learn to not listen.
Yeah. And then you get... it's even more weird because you just consider the other perceptions of love in different cultures as well.
Yeah.
And it's just an entirely different experience sometimes.
There was the whole free love thing that the hippies had with flower power and that in the 60s, but then that kind of all died out a bit when people realised... I think, well, a lot of that came from the sexual freedom of the pill, didn't it? Because... the women could do that as much as they liked without fear of getting pregnant. So
yeah,
But then, later on AIDS came along and everybody's like, this is actually going to kill us. And then you get all the religious people saying that's God's punishment.
Yeah, but then there's knives everywhere.
Yeah, as we said.
About the difference between sexual attraction and romantic attraction, don't you think that it would be better sometimes? Because I think you get people that are asexual but are romantically attracted to people as well.
Yeah.
But I think in that sort of relationship, maybe it would be a case of where it would just make sense to have, because I think for some people sex is a need.
Yeah, what you mean, like have a physical partner and a life partner, if you like, but they're not necessarily the same thing.
But then, of course, when that has happened in history, I think that's quite been predominantly focused on satisfying the man.
Yeah, I don't think, because I don't know, obviously I didn't live through it, but when you read a lot of sort of fiction from sort of historical eras, it does seem to have been more acceptable for men to have a mistress.
Yeah.
But then back in those days, marriage was a very different practical thing, wasn't it? There was a lot to do with dowries, and it was more about sort of wealth and marrying into the right sort of family and stuff like that. So the marriage part wasn't about sex; it was about money, really. But yeah, you're right. I suppose people do have different needs. So,
and then you got in quite a lot of cultures, even today, there's arranged marriages. Where you just wonder how you actually go around that, because sometimes they meet within days of getting married.
Yeah,
and they just have to go, well, this is my life now because my parents said so.
Yeah, I can see the practical benefits of marriage. I don't like the kind of linguistic suggestion that it gives, like the word to mar. It's not a nice verb to attach to something, to a relationship.
Yeah,
but it has practical benefits.
But then the whole thing about divorce as well, where that's a confusing mess of its own. It's all just messy things that we use to say, well, these people love each other, so here's a thing that says that they love each other, I guess.
Yeah. Well, me and Mum don't wear wedding rings. It's just a bit of paper, really. Oh, she's wearing hers now. I don't wear mine. I sometimes get people criticising me for that. Well, I don't really. But if people do, it's like, well, it is actually for practical reasons with me. Because, it irritates my skin because, I've got this skin condition. So
I lost weight. I can fit them back on my fingers again now without them cutting the circulation.
And the other thing as well, which is probably more just a safety practical issue, is that because I play piano and trumpet, I would be having to take it off all the time, and I could lose it if I do that. So, because it would scratch the lacquer on my trumpet, or it gets in the way when you're playing the piano. So you put your ring. There's a number of times I've come out of a rehearsal and had to go back to get my mobile phone off of the piano because I left the mobile phone there. Well, imagine if I was taking a ring off, I'd have lost it by now. At least I know it's safe. I know where it is. And to be honest, really? I don't give a shit whether or not anyone else knows I'm married or not. It's nothing to do with them, Isn't
there a sort of display there where, why do people kiss then? And why do people make big gestures?
Well, that's
to show that they love.
I mean, the lips are a fairly sensitive part of the body, so it is about physical contact and stimulating nerve endings, just in the same way as more intimate.
It's just kind of like rubbing the lips. Humans are fucking weird. They don't make sense.
Who knows? It's nice though. Anyway, have we exhausted love?
Yeah, I was expecting this to be more sort of anecdotal thing, but you seem to be very...
I'm not particularly wanting to bear my...
No.
What are you wanting to know then?
I've just heard a lot of anecdotes from you in the past.
Have you?
About various
Have I been drinking normally?
crazy girlfriend. No, just sometimes you talk about various crazy girlfriends, and I was hoping I might squeeze a story or two
Various
out.
Crazy girlfriends.
Well, like there was one, because you were telling me when we did the sky swing. There's
Oh, that, yeah, she was a fucking nutter, though.
yeah. But would you say that you fell in love with that person at the time?
A version of it, but it wasn't really. I mean, it wasn't a healthy relationship. It wasn't a healthy kind of love. It was.
Well, love isn't always healthy.
No.
It sometimes can be a little too much.
Yeah, I mean, I think we shared a couple of things in common, so that worked in that sense. That, you know, we were both musicians of a sort, and both liked kind of adrenaline rides and stuff like that. So that, but apart from that, she was a fucking nightmare. But then, having said that, I know for a fact that it's just because we were completely wrong for each other. Because looking back at the time that we spent together, I was a fucking nightmare as well. You know, because I turned into something that I wasn't happy. You know.
Yeah, I guess.
So I turned into a
True love is a relationship with another person where there's mutual improvement.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, this particular relationship, I spent about 3 or 4 years completely devoid of doing anything musically. I gave up being a musician basically to try being something completely different because, I don't know, I was going through a lot of shit at that point, but, you know, emotionally it was a kind of... She almost had me... Well, she did have me convinced that I was only doing music because it was what my family had always expected me to do. And, you know, because I've been pressured into it and all this lot. And it's like, you know, and I'm glad I kind of went through that because it took spending 3 years away from it and realising how unhappy it made me to realise that, well, actually, that's just me. That's just who I am. That's what makes me happy. You know? Sometimes
Losing something makes you appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah. And I spent pretty much most of that time stoned as well. Just to cope with the, you know.
What percentage of your 20s were you stoned, roughly?
Good question. I don't know, 75. It's a difficult one to answer because I smoked anyway all that time, so it's just remembering whether or not you were smoking normal cigarettes or not.
Couldn't you tell?
Well, yeah, you can tell, but
it's like, I feel a bit.
No, that's when you know it's habitual, though. I mean, I wouldn't have called myself an addict in the kind of junkie sense of the word, but I was certainly addicted.
Yeah,
mentally. So. But it was escapism. It was kind of... This is not about love.
It's just where the conversation went.
Yeah, I suppose it's what the wrong kind of love can do to you.
Yeah, sort of that need for escape.
Yeah.
Being fueled by the inability to realise that the reason you're doing that is because of your relationship with another person isn't
one thing I don't
for you.
One thing I don't like is there are some people that if you buy a bunch of flowers for your wife to take home, will automatically assume that you've done something wrong and that you're doing it to try to say sorry for something. It's like, well, can you not just be nice to someone for the sake of being nice to them without having an ulterior motive?
They might just be pricks.
Well, yeah, they might just have some. To just assume that men are pricks. That all men are pricks.
Yeah, but sometimes it's men that say that, so...
Yeah.
People are sometimes pricks.
Yeah.
And it depends on who they're with, because it does change a lot. Because sometimes you can just sort of overhear interactions that someone else has with someone else, and they almost seem like they're not the same person.
Yeah. Well, I think... Depending on where you are and what you're doing, I think
that's rarely conscious.
You do you do develop different personas for different environments.
Yeah.
Different sides of your personality.
I mean, obviously, because if I was like this somewhere else, then that would be disastrous.
I suppose the ideal is if all the different things that you do, I suppose you're happiest if you can be as close to the same with everyone, because you're never then pretending to be something that you think will be accepted.
You're not necessarily pretending in those situations.
No, just censoring, I suppose.
No.
Showing different aspects of yourself.
But that's just sometimes what sort of comes naturally, and it's not you going, oh, well, what will this person think if I'm like this? Sometimes it's a very sort of, well, I can't be like this because then they'll think I'm weird. But I am weird, so it's kind of like self-defeating. If you want someone to actually like you, then you kind of have to be you.
And then eventually, I think the longer you're alive, the less you give a shit. You're just like, so, well, if I don't like it, it's tough shit.
That's why old people are so fucking nightmarish sometimes.
Well, I hope it's not just to do with how long you've been alive, because then I don't want to be nightmarish. I mean, I want to not give a shit what other people think sometimes, but...
Yeah, I guess there's a balance there.
I do want to actually care about how what I say and do affects other people.
Yeah, but not whether they think that you should be saying something, whether it actually makes them feel bad that you're saying something. But then you have to just sort of weigh up. Again, this isn't really love. I guess it is, because you get like platonic love as well, which is again confusing. Because I find that person before, they were my friend for I think maybe a year before then. But maybe that just came about because it's sort of confusing having a female friend then.
Confusing having a female friend. See, I didn't
well,
really
through
kind of
puberty, because it's a new experience. You're sort of like, well, what
That's
is
probably
that
my fault
feeling?
for being around.
What?
Well, I was just thinking, I never went through that, and I actually feel in fact, all of my life, I've pretty much felt more uncomfortable around blokes than I do around girls, simply because, well, I don't know why it is, but I just find them less threatening. And I've always had girls around more. Being a musician, that tends to be the case, but also with my parents splitting up when I was 7, I was with my mum pretty much all the time at home, and she taught at a girls' school as well, so you know, there was just girls around all the time, and I just felt more comfortable with them. So, but what I'm saying is, maybe that's my fault in your case, because maybe it's because I didn't have my dad around that I feel more comfortable around girls. Whereas you've had your dad around, so...
I think it's fairly normal for my age to be a bit awkward.
Yeah, but not specifically necessarily around the opposite sex. It's just...
Yeah.
In general. Anyway, shall we...
Yeah, that was a bit of a... I guess it's...
a bit of an awkward episode.
It's not the easiest thing to talk about, because it's a very complex thing that we don't really... Like, the English are very suppressed emotionally. I meant to say repressed, but suppressed as well. That works.
Are you English?
Culturally, I would say so.
Okay.
In terms of outlook on life. If you go, it's like, fuck this, I'm just going to put my balls in anything that moves. That wasn't a Scottish accent. I don't know why. I did a Yorkshire accent, I think.
I don't know what it was.
It was a noise.
Okay.
But anyway.
Better go, because I need a piss.
All you need is... No, it's copyright.
All you need is piss. Da, 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 da.
No.
Okay.
Anyway. I had a voice break.
Well, I thought we should finish off this episode in that kind of fashion where, you know, like rock bands, when they're on stage and they finish the gig, they go, "We love you guys."
We hate you all deeply.
Perhaps not then. For the podcast listeners, Firebolt is staring really creepily at the camera.
Nah, we We like some of you vaguely.
I don't even know how many of them there are.
12. Bye.
Bye.
Wait, no, I've been Firebolt.
Oh, I've been the Orbiter, yeah.
And we...
What about Star Stuff?
She... Yeah.
I haven't been Star Stuff. I've not really been here.
Okay.
Bye.
Who said that?
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, you're now going to read the article.
Sensory craving. Craving for sense objects. Karma. Oh, is that where the Kama Sutra comes from then? Shringara is rapturous intimacy. Sex without true intimacy and sharing can leave us feeling empty. Emotional content of the experience. Shringara. Maitri, or generous compassion. Giving out love in little ways whenever you can. Oh, like, yeah, okay. Acts of kindness. Impersonal devotion. Unconditional self-love. I like the idea of that. Yeah. Have we finished?
I think so, because we said bye.
Okay.